Imagine it is the night of August 20, 1672. The air in The Hague does not smell of the salinity of the North Sea, but of something much denser and more metallic: iron, gunpowder, and fear. While the city plunges into a complicit silence, a man named Jan de Baen locks himself in his studio under the flickering light of a single candle. Before him, an oak wood panel waits to be marked. In his memory, a human carnage he witnessed just a few hours ago. He is not painting a mythological allegory or a bucolic landscape. He is documenting a fresh corpse, or rather two. Welcome to Hidden Intellect. Today we explore the painting that many consider the most brutal photograph in history before cameras ever existed. A work so raw, so devoid of mercy, that even today, in the most prestigious halls of the Rijksmuseum, visitors often turn their gaze away after only a few seconds of observation. Stay with us, because what we will discover about the biological remains that still exist from this night and the final fate of their hearts will make you question how thin the layer of varnish we call civilization really is. To understand why two of the most brilliant men in Europe ended up hanging like pieces of offal in a butcher shop, we must go back to the moment when the light of the Dutch Golden Age began to darken. Johan and Cornelis de Witt were not simple politicians. They were the architects of a republic that dared to defy the great empires of its time. Johan, the Grand Pensionary, possessed a mathematical mind and a diplomatic vision that had led the Netherlands to its economic peak, but 1672 went down in history with a terrifying name: the Rampjaar, or the Year of Disaster. In a single summer, the Republic was invaded by France, England, and the German bishoprics. The nation was on its knees, and the people, hungry and terrified, sought ahead to offer to fate. Loyalty, as we well know in art, is a pigment that fades with terrifying speed when the sun of war burns too hot. The de Witts, defenders of peace and reason, suddenly became the villains of a narrative fueled by propaganda. They were accused of treason, of weakness, and of selling out their country. But the truth is that the people did not want justice. They wanted a sacrifice. The horror began at Gevangenpoort prison. Cornelis had been arrested on false charges and subjected to tortures that would have broken any ordinary man. Yet he stood firm in his innocence. Johan went to the prison to visit his brother, unaware that he was walking directly into his own slaughterhouse. The mob outside was not a mass of soldiers, but of common citizens, bakers, merchants, fathers transformed by collective hatred into a beast of 1,000 heads. There was no trial. There was no defense. The brothers were dragged outside, toward a makeshift gallows that fate had prepared for them. What followed was an explosion of violence that defies any moderate description. They were beaten with musket butts, stabbed, and finally executed. But for the crowd, death was not enough. They needed to strip them of their humanity. It is here that Jan de Baen's painting becomes a forensic piece. Observing the work, the first thing that strikes us is the masterful use of chiaroscuro. The light from a single torch, held by an almost invisible figure in the corner, illuminates the total nakedness of the bodies. This nakedness is not heroic as in Greek statues. It is a calculated humiliation. Johan appears here with his own hair soaked in blood, partially covering a face where the nose has been severed and the eyes look like empty sockets. Cornelis beside him hangs with a rigidity reminiscent of broken marble. The precision of de Baen's brushstrokes is such that we can see the exposed tendons, the torn flesh, and the trace of the brutal castration they suffered. It is said that the mob, in a trance of absolute madness, began to cut off their fingers, ears, and hands to sell as souvenirs. But the detail that truly curdles the blood are the reports of cannibalism. Pieces of their flesh were roasted and consumed right there in front of the prison by men and women who hours before considered themselves civilized citizens of the most advanced republic in the world. How can we be sure that Jan de Baen was not simply exaggerating? because the hatred of 1672 left physical traces that have survived through the centuries. Medical reports and chronicles of the time confirm that the brothers' hearts were surgically extracted from their chests and preserved in turpentine by their enemies as war trophies. Even today, in the Historical Museum of The Hague, a visitor can come face to face with a finger and the tongue of the Witt brothers, preserved in glass vessels as macabre relics of a night of unrestrained fury. De Baen was not seeking aesthetic beauty. He was seeking an unnegotiable testimony. If you look closely at the details of Johan's abdomen, you will see the exact trace of the evisceration. This work was not created to decorate a nobleman's hall. It was created so that history could never say this did not happen. There is an element in the composition that often goes unnoticed. In the shadows of the painting, a cat watches the scene. Is it a symbol of nature's indifference to our pain, or a silent witness to betrayal? Let me know in the comments what interpretation you give to this haunting detail. It is fundamental to remember that what you have seen throughout this video are visual recreations generated with artificial intelligence. We have used these tools to immerse you in the dense and frozen atmosphere of the 17th century, attempting to emulate the gaze of the old masters so that you feel the weight of the oil and the darkness of the night. However, Jan de Baen's real masterpiece is a tangible historical document. I invite you to look for the link we have left in the pinned comment of this video, where you can see the original painting and compare the rawness of historical reality with our artistic interpretation. The tragedy of the Witt brothers teaches us that civilization is ultimately like a thin layer of veneer on an old wooden panel, beautiful to look at, but capable of shattering at the first blow of irrationality. If you are passionate about diving into the deepest and most macabre secrets hidden behind great works, subscribe to Hidden Intellect. Help us continue lighting the torch in the darkest corners of art. See you in the next shadow.